All right. So who are these people here?
This is my mother and my dad.
And what are their names?
This is Frank J. Jasper, he preferred J.
Uh-huh.
And this is Lula Florence.
Okay. And their last names and everything? He was Frank J. Smith.
Yes, Frank J. Smith, and she was Lula Florence Beach Smith.
Okay. And what were her parents' names? I'm asking. It's very early in the morning. For those watching at home.
That's what I need, some notes, because I can't think that quick anymore.
Now, was she a good cook?
Oh, she was an excellent cook. And back then, all the time I was growing up, we put the food in large bowls, and we all sat around the table and ate, and we dipped from that. We didn't get up and fill our plates from the stove. I don't know when that trend started. But
well, that's what they call family style now, and it's very big in Italian restaurants.
In big Italian restaurants.
Yeah, so they call it family style. So you guys ate family style.
But in a restaurant, I don't care to do it that way. I like to be served in a restaurant.
Right.
My plate. No, she was an excellent cook. She was an excellent farmer. She took care of so many outside chores and always had good food on the table. One time, God love her, she didn't have much money. We didn't have much money, and there were 7 children, of course. But she would try to save money back for a rainy day. We called it rainy day, the unexpected bills.
Uh-huh.
And one time she had put her purse in the oven, and she forgot it was in there, and she was hurrying around and turned it on, and she burnt her purse and all the money. And that was a tragedy back then. Because, I mean, dimes were special to us.
Yeah.
You know, if we get a dime or a nickel for something, we didn't get paid for the chores we done. It was expected of us.
Yeah.
So she grew up in a large family of 11, and my dad, I think there were 10 in his family.
Wow.
So they weren't spoiled, and they didn't plan on spoiling us kids, 7.
Mm-hmm.
We all were expected to jump in and help with the chores and get the work done. And then you can play.
Now, what did you do for games or toys or anything like that? This was the one that Sid's going to want to know about.
Oh, my goodness. We had to make up our games. We didn't have toys and games from town, from the stores. Gosh, it wasn't a game, but my brother and I, we would make games out of our work.
And this is Jim, right?
My brother Jim, he was 11 months and 2 weeks older than me. And we were the 6th and 7th children to come along. But we did a lot of work when we were, I was on the tractor seat when I was 10 years old. And expected to do the work of some big guy, older person. But I know I can just remember these things when we'd have to get the mowing done, and there was no riding mowers when we were growing up. So he would push, and he thought it would be clever. We'd get it done quicker. He hooked a rope on the front of that and expected me to be in front and pull. He pushed, and I was always so scared that he was going to run over me. But we would do things like that thinking it was fun, and it was really quite dangerous.
Now, do you have any dolls or toys or anything like that?
My sister, Maxine, 3 years older than me, we had one doll only when we were growing up. And it was so special, and mine had a pink dress, and I don't know what age I would have been. And hers had a blue dress. Otherwise, they were the same doll, just different dresses. And I remember we had this big closet actually in the living room, and we knew for sure our Christmas present was hidden in there. We'd get one present, and that was a very special Christmas. But we found those dolls, and then we swore we would never let on like we knew it. And we were surprised when. Do you remember doing that when you were a little boy?
Well, you would come and show me stuff, and then I'd have to be surprised afterwards.
So that came from my growing up, and how exciting that was, and to keep a secret and act surprised. We were, because we were so happy we could play with it then.
Yeah.
And we couldn't play with it. We just had to see it and then put it back. So that was special. But we just, and you've heard story after story how the guys would just take an old tire that Dad had discarded, wasn't any good for the equipment, and roll it down the road, and that was the fun they had, rolling an old tire down the road. We did we earned enough money because we had a tomato patch, a big patch, and Dad says, if you can sell these tomatoes, then you can buy you a scooter. We were in our teens then.
Yeah.
So we had a big truck patch of tomatoes, and we made enough money. I can't remember where we sold them, I guess, to the canning factory. And we made enough that we had a red scooter. It had a box on the front. So we'd take turns driving that, and the other one would have to ride in the box in the front. That's where they also had scooters back then where they had a box car on the side. Ours, for some reason, had one on the front. And on Sunday afternoon, we would take that right around Greentown in it. That was our fun. We did get, on our birthdays, we would get to have 2 or 3 friends. I would have maybe 3 girlfriends home for the weekend. And then on Sunday afternoon, we would go to the Ices or Colonial Theater in Kokomo. And it was 10 cents a piece. Here was that dime again. And that was such a treat. They would let us go to the movie or take us to the movie. That was a birthday party.
That's great.